for me, I guess a competitor is somebody who values the outcome of the event, who's not just there for the team photo. So someone who has kind of a tunnel vision about, worrying about wanting a piece of the action. They want to be in critical times, as opposed to some players who you notice they kind of back away from the critical times. Like, who wants to go in and serve? It's the end of the game, and some kids look at the ground like they lost their contact lens, and yet they don't wear them. So, competition can be against others. It can be against previous efforts, or it can be against various standards that you establish at certain times. I just think it should be someone who isn't afraid. That's the thing I always try to get our players to understand. Just don't be afraid. Way more good things happen when you get out there in battle. So, traits of the strong competitor: one who's motivated to succeed. Winning is important, which means sometimes they cheat. They don't call touches, they're in the net, they're things like that. They have discipline, their willingness to commit, because it takes time to be really good. It's just a process. It's not automatic. It's, some people have God-given talent, and they walk in the gym and they jump higher and hit harder. But that just means they jump higher and hit harder. It doesn't mean they'll be your best player. It means they jump higher and hit harder. So, I think it's someone who embraces that every day and every drill matters. That's what I tell our players. Some buy into it. Some are looking for, how come there's no clock in the gym because, I got things to do later. And I'm like, well, the reason there's no clock in the gym is I broke it. Because if you're worried about what time it is, it's time for you to be on the other side of the door. Because the other people they're not worried about what time it is, all right? So how are they identified and shaped? I think competitors many times just stand out. Their behavior demonstrates that they care. That's all. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. I have some players that I can't control because they're just rabid. And there's times I say to them, nobody else can coach you. I'm having a hard time coaching you. Your teammates struggle with you. However, I love you. But you really have to make an effort on some of these things because the police are here, and you have to help a little bit. So, because not everybody can handle kids that are really aggressive and outspoken. And my thing with my team is always the same. It's simple. I always say, hey, I don't know what you're thinking. I can only tell you what I see. So it looks like you're not competitive. I don't know. I'm just saying your behavior looks like you're not competitive. So we do drills to see if you're competitive. We do activities to see. It's not based on, do you lose and do you grab the net? They swear all the time. I don't really care. They're not my daughter. I don't really care. I always say to them, hey, we're on TV about 15 times a year. Your grandparents are going to see it. They're going to go, honey, I read your lips. I hope what I thought you said you didn't say. And I go, that's all you say, because it's all you say in practice. But I really don't say it all the time. But I always say, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So, college programs, we can kind of recruit people that have certain characteristics. High school, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't really know. Clubs, same thing. It's tough. It's certainly, it's questionable right now. It's like if we follow women's basketball at the end, right at the end, at the Final Four, where Gino said, it's tough right now. It's tough for coaches. They can't really train their players in a similar fashion. It's hard to push them hard right now. Coaches are afraid what's going to happen. I really thought what he was saying was pretty accurate. I thought Muffet had a lot to say, which had nothing to do with what Gino was saying. But I did like what Mulkey said afterwards when she won the championship, and I'm a big believer in that, and that is we should hire the best people for the job. Male, female, black, white, straight, gay. I think that's what's important. Hire the best people. But it's hard to push people if you're in an environment where they don't want you to push them or have them do certain things. So, for me, competitive players, how do they interact with others? How do you blend them into the team? That's kind of a skill. So hopefully it's positive and you can get them to be competitive while not, eating the younger players. They have a tendency to scare some of the younger players at times. But I think my experience of 44 years of coaching women players, more times than not, the women players, I've had more players that straddle the fence of getting into the fray versus not getting into the fray. Where guys can't believe they're not playing, they're the best player. They're 100% convinced they're going to be the key to winning. They can't believe what's the matter with the coach. Where a lot of the times the female players are just like, yeah, I'm just happy to be here and work hard. And I'm like, I want more. I want you to care. I want you to believe that you're going to go in and make the winning play. Although I'm not sure I'm ready. You're ready. That's why you practice every day. I'm not asking you to fly. I'm asking you to serve, play defense, and when that ball's falling, you go for it every day. And if you go for it every day, one day you're going to get it, and it might be for the national championship. And you have to believe that, otherwise, why are you in here? That's how I do it. So I coach men and women the same way, because why shouldn't you? That's my thought on the matter. So I don't say, she's a female, so I should be more sensitive to her. No. I've had some female players that would kill somebody if they thought it was between winning and losing. And I've had some male players, when I coached men, that were indifferent to it, and I used to say, really? Why are you in sports? Did you think it was shorts, not sports? So, female teams may require more intervention if teammates get a little rattled by things. But, I think we need both types of players, and you just need people that are willing to do the unglamorous things, which is serving and passing and playing defense and covering, and I think that's a group of skills that are easily assigned by somebody who doesn't jump high and maybe isn't going to be the cover girl on the magazine, but it's somebody who can serve tough and is going to fly into the table. So I'm in Colorado one year recruiting a great player, and while I'm there, I'm sitting in a chair, and some girl runs after a ball and dives and lands at my feet, and I like, what's your name? Okay? So I recruited them both because I liked her as much as the girl that was a 3-time All-American, because I liked the fact that she went hard all the time. I wasn't there to see her, but I left impressed with what she was doing. So I don't know. Can you change a person? I think it's tough to change people. If you have a competitive culture, maybe they know coming in. That's part of the keys to recruiting, is trying to find players that understand the expectations of your team, of your unit ahead of time. If you can delineate that and have it clear, and the players talk about what that's really about. If you can make the players accountable. Ours is a very simple thing. If you don't go for the ball, somebody comes over and just kind of pats you on the butt. They're in the drill, you're out of the drill. Somebody asked me, you look really calm. How do you stay so calm? Hey, I'm calm. Shocker. All right? Plus, why would I think yelling at young girls is going to make them better? If somebody yells at me, I don't care. I'm calm. I'm not afraid of fighting. I think it sounds like something fun to do sometimes. But certainly my position on it is, hey, practice is hard. I can say some very hard, cold things, but not to the whole group. It's one-on-one. It's like, hey, if you want to be good and you're going to bust your tail, then do it. But if you're going to come here and you're not going to go for the ball, then really, that's why that chair is empty right there. I'm thinking it's calling out your name. Why don't you warm that chair up for a while and let me know if you want to stick around. I'm not mad. I'm just trying to get the people to keep the thing going in the right direction. So I think winning matters. I think practicing hard is mandatory. And again, but it's different, We're all on a shorter leash, I'm on a shorter leash. Penn State had a scandal 7 or 8 years ago. I could be a little more of myself 7 or 8 years ago than I can now. The culture of sports has changed, Certainly, I see it, but all I can say is sometimes change sucks. So, leaders try to influence the team. Competitors are trying to influence the outcome. So I think leaders and competitors are different. I have somebody go call the coin flip. All right, it's got nothing to do with the game. All right, you're the captain. Yeah, you go call heads or tails. But if you lose, I'm getting somebody new. All right, because I'm sure I want to receive. All right, or I want to serve. I know what I want to do. So they're two different things in my mind. But I think you need both. It'd be great if they could coincide. They're always not together. Leaders may bridge some of the crazy competitors to the teammates who have potential, but maybe they just lack fire. They care, but they just don't have the fire. So maybe the leader can bring it out of them a little bit. And I say to some people, hey, just play hard. Just be yourself. I don't want to change anybody. I recruit them knowing who they are. And I say, hey, I'm not trying to change anybody, and I'm not changing either. So the people that played for me 40 years ago at Penn State, they can rest assured I'm still the same way. And, and I have on one shoulder saying, don't say it. It's the wrong thing to say. Don't do it. And then on the other shoulder, it's saying, hey, it's Penn State volleyball. You're Penn State volleyball, and go for it. If they fire you, won't you be happier that that's why they fired you? Because that's the way you roll. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then that's the way we go. So, so one year I had an administrator say to me, I didn't dress professionally enough and my language wasn't great. And I was like, you're right. I'm such an F-up, other than the fact that we were undefeated and won the national championship, and I was the national coach of the year, and we had 4 girls go to the national team and things. You're right. I really should work on my appearance and my, and my speaking skills, because that's what I was hired to do, So drills to identify the enhanced behavior. Certainly some of the skills or drills you might do can be competitive. So for us, if I think pursuit and digging is really important, then we'll do drills where I have 2 or 3 people standing at the net, and somebody will serve, and we'll hit a ball at them, and then we'll hit another ball at them, and then we'll hit another ball at them, and then they'll sprint down to the other end and have to serve and do it again, just to see how hard they go. And my intent is usually to see how hard people can go, not to break people, but I want to see how hard they can go, but I don't mind noticing what their breaking point is so I can take them out before they ever break in a game. Because like I know, you're sitting on the bench and you put somebody in, and she's going back to serve, and she's going like this, and she's getting ready, and all of a sudden you see it happening. And you're like saying to yourself, or you say to the assistant, no chance she's serving over. Because And she lays it in the bottom of the net or hits somebody in the back of the head, and you're like, oh, that was a good sub. That was good. I'm doing a great job. But you knew it. So it's like, well, how do you prevent it in practice? So in practice, but we all go through that. I tell the players all the time, hey, when I put you in the game, I'm 100% convinced you're going to do well. So let's get that being tentative thing out the door. It's got to be an aggressive error. Serving in the net, not an aggressive error. Serving out of bounds, aggressive error. Hitting the back wall, maybe a little more aggressive than we were hoping for, but at least you didn't hit the net with the ball. So, we do, just competitive passing drills where it's 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other side, and we're serving tough at them, and, the winners stay and the losers are off, and they have to do 5 and 5. Every drill we do is for winners and losers. Push-ups, sit-ups, sprints, whatever. It's not punishment, okay? We celebrate winning and losing, okay? The team, and we'll talk about some of the competitive drills, we'll do those later. You know, does your team need more attention on skill training? I think young teams need to be better at skills and less thinking as a coach they're not competitive. I mean, it's like you asked about passing. Hey, until your team can serve and pass, we do it every day. We did it every day when we had won for 2 or 3 years in a row. We did it every day when we didn't lose a game all year. Every day. We didn't take the day off because we were good last week. We did it every day, and there'd be days where we would stand on a box and hit the ball hard at them from half court because we wanted them to work harder because they had to work harder because that was the only way I would have their attention is if they were working harder. So you have to recognize until we can master the skills of the game, the expectations of winning and how are we going to do things, it takes more time to get that in play. It really does. And it's hard to win. It's not like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to win. So we've won national championships, I'm embarrassed to say, with teams that I didn't think should have won. And we've had teams that should have won that didn't win. And that was way more disappointing than celebrating the teams that won that shouldn't have. You know, teams may struggle when no one takes the big swings because no one's willing to risk winning and losing. So you do that in drills all the time. We finish practices 9-9, scores 9-9, 11-11, 13-13, and they have to win all 3 games. And sometimes they're losing 9-11, and sometimes they're losing 11-13, and they have to win all 5 games, and it can take an hour to get that done. Now, in the old days, when we didn't have to worry about X number of hours in practice, that was perfect. But now you have to have it done in your time block, so we have to set it up early to make sure we can finish it in time. You have to access for yourself the landscape of what the culture is and address just what I think is just kind of an error of entitlement that kids think they're entitled to things all the time. And that makes it a little tougher in my mind. But I think teams need to cooperate to compete. That both sides have to buy into that. And it doesn't help if you have the varsity beating the tar out of the JV every day. All that does is it tells the JV girls, soccer looks like fun, because this ain't fun. So if I can get, so we'll do drills where we separate the starters, and we do drills where, I'll just say, hey, you're going to go against her, and who's going to win? And if they both say they're going to win, then we got a deal. And if someone says, well, what should the score be? And 5-point difference, 2-point difference. Usually they hate that. They'll say no, straight up. And but it's a team game. And if one team loses, everybody has to do it. And if we do a drill and you get shut out, it's double. And if we do some drill and I think one team's not going very hard. This is the horror stories that people would talk about their experience at Penn State would be, yeah, we lost, we were doing continuous, where we keep the ball in play, back row, to 50. And one team didn't go hard and they lost by 20. And then it was 4-court suicides. 4-court suicides a lot different when you lose by 30 than when you lose by 2 or 3.